So, hello everyone. It's 1 o'clock. These are coffee lectures from the Chemistry, Biology, Pharmacy Information Center. They're being recorded. So I would like to welcome you today to our last coffee lecture from this series. It's about EndNote. And we do an update on EndNote about every 2 years because there are always new things coming in. EndNote is a reference manager tool. I think we all know what that is. We need to collect our references somewhere and use them then when we write papers to properly cite. And here I've listed a couple of expectations that I personally and also other people nowadays have from reference management tools. So what we expect from them is that we can create a library of references easily by different import options. I will highlight some of those. What is very important is that the integration with different writing tools works well, that one can generate citations in the formats that journals require and the bibliographies. What for me personally is very, very important is that if I have a folder of PDFs on my desktop or on my personal computer, and I want to use those PDFs in an article that I'm writing, that reference management tool will extract the metadata from those PDFs automatically. So I drop PDFs in, and then everything is extracted. So I find this a very important functionality. What is also a very important functionality is that one can annotate PDFs, and then those annotations are then also synchronized over different devices. What is becoming more and more important is advanced search functionality. So if you have big libraries of references, like imagine you have 200 references and you have in those references notes and labels and so on, that you have within the reference manager tool good search functionality to actually get to your references quickly. And AI assistance is kind of becoming more and more usual in this process. Then we work normally together in groups on publications. So the reference management tool should have a good option to share the libraries, which sounds very easy, but it gets very complicated when the libraries are big because one needs to sync them. And this synchronization has to work between different devices and also operating systems. And then another thing is if you synchronize, it means your data will go somewhere to the cloud and it's going to be synchronized over the cloud to different devices. That's clear. So one point that I would like to bring up here also is the data privacy. So data privacy should be taken care of properly. And of course, there are many different reference managers out there that you can use. EndNote is only one of them. There's Zotero, there's Mendeley, there's JabRef, Still, and so on. There are many, many. And for that reason, ETH Library actually designed a course that is called Find Your Reference Management Software to help you decide which one is the one that you like. And this is a Moodle course, so you can search for it in Moodle and then you can go through that. I do have to say today 10 minutes for a topic that I'm covering today is very, very little. So it might be that I'm going to go a little bit over time. You can leave the coffee lecture in case you are busy with other things. So EndNote is what I'm focusing on today. And why am I talking about EndNote when there is Zotero, which is freely available? The reason is that EndNote is one of the extremely powerful and popular reference managers that really, really many big research groups are still using, and it is available at ETH Zurich. It has a built-in online reference and full-text search. It comes from Clarivate company, and you may know that Web of Science is also from Clarivate, so it's very well integrated with Web of Science as well as with Microsoft Word and Google Docs. So if you are working with Google Docs, one can in principle also use the EndNote via an app that one needs to install there. I will highlight today a couple of functionalities which I find important, in particular for the newest version, but ETH Library gives regular courses on EndNote, like in-depth courses, and the spring one is going to be on the 28th of May, in 1 hour and a half from our colleague there. And these are also really, really nice courses, and then you have time to test things out and so on. So I can recommend that. You can register for the course via the ETH Library website. Here is how it looks in the ETH Zurich's IT shop. If you search for EndNote, you will see there's still a version EndNote 21 available, but only for ETH stuff. So this is the previous version we have introduced in a coffee lecture like 2 years ago. And the new one is 2025, which I will show you today. And you see here that the license for ETH students is different than for staff. And if I know correctly, ETH students actually have this license for free, and staff has to pay a yearly fee. So if you are a student, I can see some students here today use these kind of things. I mean, you have really many things available at ETH that you can download and try. As soon as you become a PhD student, this is no longer be the case. All right, good. So EndNote, this I did already, I'm sorry. So what I'm going to highlight now is what is new in EndNote 2025, so the new version. As you can imagine, they invested their time into AI. So they have added a generative AI tool into EndNote to be able to summarize articles that you have in your library. So if you have a PDF, there's a so-called EndNote Research Assistant that will tell you what is inside that article and with whom you can chat about the article content. I'm going to demonstrate you that. I hope it's going to work. And the same AI tool also has a possibility to translate the article in all kinds of languages or just parts of the article. So you can select some paragraphs in PDF and say you want them to be translated into French or Dutch or whatever, and it will be done there on the spot, and then you can copy that out. So that is something what Clarivate is very proud of. I personally am not so excited about it, but I leave that up to you. Then what you have also a new functionality is that if you have a PDF of an article, you can just mark it and say, I would like to cite that in my paper, in my manuscript, and then the quote will be automatically transferred to the Word and with a proper citation. Then what I actually find nice is that you can now, when you're within the library, you can check for each of your references through Clarivate, through Web of Science, if there are any updates to the reference or to the metadata. So if there was an erratum or if there was a retraction, you should be able to see that. And then the third thing is, again, because of the close connection with Web of Science, you can now, for each article that you have in your library, see what are the citing articles and what are the relevant similar references, if there are any. If there are none, then it doesn't show. So that's now, again, a short overview of the new functionalities. And if you want to go deeper, there's this libguides from EndNote, a link that is on the website where you can check more. So here I have a slide. What happens if you install EndNote for the first time? Then you click on it, and then basically this window opens where you have to say, yes, please create a new library. And then you decide where you're going to put it. And there's always going to be two files, an ELN file and an EndNote library data folder, and they are then kept together. And then when you decide on that, then you get something like that. And 3 EndNote library panels you see on the left-hand side is the part where you can create groups, different types of groups, also smart groups or group sets. And then you have the possibility to define tags. So you can say, well, everything what is research articles is marked red, what is patents is green, what is reviews is blue. And through that, you can get through your libraries faster when searching. And then you have the possibility to find full text. That is what I mentioned before. So actually with EndNote, you can, if you just have a reference, click on that reference and go ask EndNote to find full text attachment for you. Now, this worked perfectly in the previous edition and doesn't work perfectly anymore. And I spent quite some time with playing with the settings, but it doesn't help because I think it's the limit on the publisher side. They've closed something to not be able to pull the data too easily into EndNote. So it works, but I do not recommend anymore so much to rely on this functionality to fill your database with PDFs by using find full text, because you will maybe get 10% of PDFs that you would like to get. That's what happened to me when I was testing it. And then you have the possibility to share groups. And here is this, different libraries that you can search online. Okay, so another slide. So how do you then populate the EndNote library? So for me, the preferred way to populate the EndNote libraries by taking the PDFs that I have collected via Scopus or some other database, and I have them on my desktop or on my computer with which I'm working, which I know well. And when it comes to writing, I import them into EndNote, the metadata is extracted, and then I have a library with which I can work. That's one way. The other way is you go, so that's that basically, right? This is a screenshot here on the right-hand side. You have a screenshot from one literature folder, very non-comprehensive names, but then EndNote is able to extract all the metadata out when I import that. The other way is you go to a bibliometric, biographic database, like such as Scopus or Web of Science. You search for articles there, and then you have here, for example, this is from Scopus, an export function, and you say, yes, I would like to export in RIS format. And then you decide what you would like to export, and then you get a file, and you can import that file into the EndNote, and then you will have all the references, but no PDFs. If you would like to have PDFs, then you have in Scopus this possibility to download. There's another COVID lecture about that, where you can download the PDFs of the articles that you've selected as well if you're using Chrome, but that's now a different topic. Good. So let me go quickly to a live demo. I have almost no time left. So I will just show you how an EndNote library looks like. So here it's one. And you see I have here on the left-hand side the groups, tubulin, beta hairpin peptides, and so on. If I click on taxol synthesis, which one of our colleagues knows very well, you can see here, this is an example where I have imported the references from a file that I've generated with Scopus, and the PDFs that are attached, I have attached later. And if I would like to find a PDF of this paper, I could go here and say find full text. I'm sorry, I was here. And or with a left click, and then the search would start, and if I'm lucky, an attachment would come up. As mentioned, this does not work so well anymore. And then let me go down to beta hairpin peptides. This was an example that was different. So in this case, I had a folder with PDFs on my desktop, and I was importing them. And you can see for most of the PDFs, the extraction of metadata went well, but not for everything. So in this case, this is a completely normal PDF, yeah, but EndNote was not able to extract the metadata. In such a case, one would need to then go here to edit and put the things in manually. But normally this happens nicely, and the data are automatically extracted. Here you can see all kinds of different fields that are there, and you can populate them also manually. So there are all kinds of fields that you can then also, if you have a big library, let me go back to taxol synthesis and put that away. I can't see here everything. Okay. You can then search. So if you have a big library, you can search with all kinds of fields, also labels, notes, and so on. So if I would here, for example, like to search for papers from Daura, the paper. I'm in the wrong one, sorry. Let me search here. Would show up. And now let me quickly show you this AI assistant before the coffee lecture is over. If you click on the PDF shows up. And this is very small now. So EndNote therefore has this functionality to make it bigger. And you see the research assistant comes then here to on the right-hand side. Now, in order to use this functionality, actually, in particularly in terms of chatting with the paper, what I was doing here. So I ask which sequence has been studied and so on. You need to sync your library with the one which EndNote has in cloud. And I can tell you already, my first library, which I was trying to sync, was very big. And it took very, very, very long. And if it's not synced, then the AI Research Assistant will not work. It will give you a short summary here. It's usually really very short, but you will not be able to chat. Yeah, so this is one thing which I wanted to mention. So you have here this possibility to chat, to use the research assistant to chat, and then the translation is this other icon. That's that one, and then you can say, "Yes, please translate me the whole PDF into language you know well, so that you can test." Now I will say German. The translation of the full text will now take a while, but I did this before, so I can show you how it looks like. So this was translation in German of the abstract. And it's up to you to decide if this is useful for you or not. My mother tongue is Slovenian, so I translated it to Slovenian as well. And I have to say there were some very funny words used in some cases. It's a machine translation, it's an AI translation. So, well, we know what we're talking about, I think. Exactly. So this was a very short demo of this new functionality on AI Assistant. And if I close that and go back to, let me say now, cyclic peptides, here I have a paper from Nature Communication. And if you go to summary, what you then see here, this is what I mentioned before, you can now just in summary see this link citing articles, which opens then directly in Web of Science, and you can see how my paper or this paper has been cited and who has cited them and so on, and through that expand the library. So this is a new functionality. And there are also many other smaller additions to EndNote 2025, but I think the core addition, the core functionalities that were there in 21 are still exactly the same, and one can work very well with the version 21 also. Yeah. Okay. Here, very quickly, if you want to search Web of Science directly from EndNote, you can just do it here. You can click on the catalog and then say, yes, I want, for example, papers from Katrin Lang on, I think she had something with ABC transport, maybe. So you can do exactly the same search here as you can do. Well, I'm now too quick. As you can do in the big databases, but I would never replace this search with searching directly in the big databases, because you there have many more possibilities to define a query, and you can search not only Web of Science but also library catalogs and other databases. Here, it's a huge list of them. Okay. I think now I really have to go to the next step and say, what do you do when you need to create a library? If you need to create a library, you write something. I am talking too much. And now if I would like to cite literature on that topic from the EndNote, you click here on Word, EndNote 2025 will be seen. And then you have two options. Either you use the option go to EndNote, and then the library that is open will show up. And I can say, yeah, okay, these are now the references I would like to cite. And here's the icon. I click on that and the references come in. And here you have the possibilities then to decide in which style you cite. You have possibilities to decide your own styles and so on. And there's another possibility, insert citation. This is in the case when you know exactly what you want to cite from your library, and you can search for citations. And here I was searching for Walle as a name of somebody, and I now got his citations, and I can insert them too. And then it's automatically formatted. So this is quite nice. And it works really well. It works very well also. I mean, there are really many possibilities up there that I can't address today. There you can do a lot with the right mouse click, which I love. So you have here, for example, edit citation. If then somebody tells you, well, yeah, this looks all very nice, but actually it should be, the early citation should come first. You can very easily move them up and down. So I can move this one up, and so I can shift which one comes first and which comes later and so on. And this is something what in many reference managers doesn't work. So I had cases already when with long lists, I had to shift them manually up and down. And what I would also like to say, in case something still doesn't work when you're sorry, I need to move that way. When you're citing, you have here under library the possibilities to look into terms lists in journals, terms lists, how the abbreviations are done. So there's all the settings are at your hand, and you can check through them. You can delete this if you don't agree, and you can then import new abbreviations from the files. So by defining new terms lists, you have here possibilities to search in EndNote documentation. And for example, here I have it. The styles are defined in terms for different journals from different fields. All this is actually adjustable, and one can look into that. I'm super sorry. I would love to show you much more, but I'm over time. I knew I'm going to be over time. It's impossible to do this coffee lecture in just 10 minutes. There's a coffee lecture card, as always, under this link, but you can also just write me an email if you would like to have that one. I thank you very much for being here. I'm happy to show you more. This is the last coffee lecture of this series. Some of the coffee lectures that we gave in this series are already on our YouTube channel. So if you're interested in them, please go and check our YouTube channel. The coffee lecture from today will come to the YouTube channel very soon. And also other coffee lecture series are there. And with that, I will close now, and I'm open for questions. Thank you for your attention.